All right, y'all. So pretty much many of you already know that Dakota has a fight coming up in July now. After she did that interview a few days ago, she kind of put the PFL on blast and she was kind of frustrated, but she said she was willing to trust them, at the same time as far as getting her fight. And real quick, they hit her back. Don Davis, he hit her back real quick. And the next day she was putting out another interview with ESPN saying that, hey, she has fight news coming up for July, or she has fight news and a fight coming up in July. So that's the good news. So knowing that she has a fight coming up for all the WMMA fans and Dakota fans, that's the good news. I mean, the bad news is we don't know who. And maybe even the worst news is that the PFL probably doesn't even know who right now. They probably just told her that at this moment, to kind of get her to calm down, just to ease the frustration. I mean, I'm sure that they're trying to find somebody, but I don't know who. And that's just who I want to talk about in this video. Because, I put out the other day a little matchmaking Monday, because pickings are kind of slim right now for Dakota, right? Pickings are really slim. So you really have to just kind of search and, look around outside of the UFC and, with the potential fighters that are lined up in other organizations, as well as, fighters that got cut from the UFC. So I'm just looking around. And, the other day I was just like, you know what? For Matchmaking Monday, I'm going to put up this fighter here. I'm going to put up Andrea Lee. And I know, look, shout out to some people that agree and disagree. Look, I'm just throwing names out there. It's not like a definite for me. That's not like the definite name. That's why I just kind of want to go through why I pick her or why I pick several other fighters. And I know some people name some other fighters, and I'm going to go through those here and just kind of give y'all some reasons on why they can't be the next one, because that's why I'm here, to just kind of educate people on fighter situations and contracts, right? But anyways, yeah, I'm just throwing Andrea Lee out there because she was recently cut from the UFC. You know, there's experience there. She is a good size flyweight, and she is somewhat physically tough. Out of all those 6 losses, she hasn't been like dominated or beaten bad or finished. So if she took on somebody like Dakota, I think that would probably be the one fight that would really test her durability at this point. And at the same time, like I said, she'd be bringing that experience because even though, like I said, the streak is bad, I still think there would be an element there that Dakota could learn from, and it would kind of build her stock up because Dakota could say, "I got another UFC fighter on my resume." Might not be the best, might not stand up to the Tyler fight, but you never know. But I know the bad is that Andrea Lee is on the downside, so a lot of people will probably knock that fight. But at this point, from what I've seen from Dakota, how she was able to run through fighters like Jenna Bishop and Tyler Santos, I think she is a gifted fighter. I think she definitely has those skill sets that can be tested now in the UFC. That was all I wanted to see. I wanted to see some names on the resume, and she's got that. So when I see somebody like Andrea Lee coming, to the table now that she's out of the UFC, and then she's not necessarily going to the PFL. Yeah, I'm just saying, like, when you got fighters like that you could bring to the table, I think that would be a good name because number one, Dakota wants to fight now. And number two, it's not too far away. July is not too far away. So I'm thinking that might be the one fight they could reach out for right now because Andrea Lee doesn't have a home right now. She doesn't have anywhere else to fight. So that could be one they could capitalize on. And number three, for Andrea Lee, that would be a benefit for her because, she's getting older. She doesn't necessarily have that drive to go back to the UFC. So this could be another time for her or opportunity for her to, you know, get one more big paycheck. Just ride off of the Dakota name and go over to PFL. You know what I mean? So that could just be another good little check for her at the same time. So that's how I'm just looking at it. Because again, we're only 3 months, less than 3 months away, and Dakota needs a fight right away. So it can't really be a super fight, y'all. It can't be a super fight for people that are trying to look for the biggest names out there. I mean, another name I would pick that probably would be better is Jennifer Maia. The reason I just didn't say Jennifer Maia is because I know right now she's fighting at bantamweight. She just won a bantamweight belt in Invicta FC. So I'm just kind of thinking that maybe she wants to defend her title over there. I mean, I know there's like a couple Invicta cards coming up, one in May, and I think they might have one in June. I'm not sure, but that's how they usually do. Do one after the other, like the first 5 months of the year, I think. But Jennifer Maia, that would be a good name. She was willing to move back down to 125 and sign over to PFL for like a 1 fight, 2 fight deal. Jennifer Maia, She's one of the fighters that got cut from the UFC for no reason, as far as like bad fights or, skill sets or anything like that. She's probably definitely a better choice than Andrea Lee. Similar to Andrea Lee, where I think she doesn't really commit in fights. She's got all the tools, but just doesn't commit. But she will fight to a higher level, and she will throw some fighters off in there. Like she still can beat some C and D level fighters, and maybe even a B minus. But she just can never get to that A level or B plus level sometimes. But I think that's a good test for Dakota. Jennifer Maia, she's tough, never been finished, right? As far as I know. She has the boxing, she has the movement, a good clinch game, ground game, strong fighter, but again, like just those lack of moments where she can actually commit in the fight. But I think, yeah, Jennifer Maia, yeah, she would definitely be a good fight for, physically strong too. And yeah, I think she could take a punch too. Now, I definitely think she could take a punch. Now, Andrea Lee, on the other hand, I don't know how she would take them body shots. I don't know how anybody would react to the body shots right now. Anybody, even in the UFC, when it comes to Dakota, she hit like a man to the body for real. So that's one thing we got to look at. But yeah, I think Jennifer Maia overall would be a good choice if they could, call her up, get her whatever she needs to prepare for it, give her the time that she needs preparing, let her into the PFL in July. Another name I seen come up, Samoa Anaba. I'm gonna be real. Samoa Anaba, I know she's 8-1 right now, but yes, it could happen in July because she's right there. She's in the PFL. She's not in the tournament. It's it's a fighter that's just there. So I see that. Samoa Anaba is a good fighter. Don't get me wrong. Like she's an action-packed fighter. She's got a good striking style too. But as far as Samoa making it competitive, I don't know. I think her style might play right into Dakota's, because she can bang. Samoa can. She can go in there and trade, but you don't want to trade with somebody this big and this powerful. All right. And I think that might just be another one of those situations where Dakota might walk through another opponent, right? She might just walk through somebody else. So I'm kind of looking for somebody that can keep her active, but at the same time give her some work, give Dakota some work. And I think Samoa, she's on her own path too. She's got some good wins. I know she just got this last win against Mackenzie Stiller by finish on the ground. She's won a few unanimous decisions with her striking. She's got that in and out style, but I think somebody as big and as long as Dakota, she'll be able to figure it out at some point and potentially stop her, because she took a lot of heavy shots in that Denise Kielholtz fight. Anaba did. So I just imagine how Dakota would kind of play into that style and how she'd be able to control. Samoa's more, I would say she's more boxing. She throws some kicks too, but that Muay Thai style and the Muay Thai clinches of Dakota and, just kickboxing, how she blends both so well, I think she'd be able to walk through. I'm just being real. All right. But if that fight happened, don't be surprised. I'm not sure if Samoa Anaba is still injured or she was injured, but I think that was one reason why she wasn't in the tournament the first time. So, I'm not sure if they would line her up next. But yeah, that could happen. Don't be surprised if it does. But I would just see Dakota actually kind of dominating that fight. All right. And here's another UFC fighter, former UFC fighter. Yeah, I know some people probably think would be a good name. Montana De La Rosa. Montana De La Rosa, I mean, not bad. I mean, yeah. Again, she's another fighter like Andrea Lee that pretty much is a free agent right now, doesn't have a home. She just got cut. And to me, they cut her at a bad time, right when I thought, she was getting back into the game. I know her last fight was a win over Andrea Lee. She's 13-9, and she's 5'7". She's a big flyweight. This is a big flyweight right here with some wrestling skill. Only been finished, one time against Tatiana Suarez. I know matching these two up, again, she kind of plays in the Dakota style, but we never know. We never know if Montana is able to withstand some of the harder shots early, how she'll stand in the clinch with Dakota. Will she be able to get her down? Again, I favor Dakota for real. When I just look at the defense of Montana, and as far as like getting hit by those big shots, those might take a lot of the wind out of Montana early. But hey, it's another name. You just never know, right? You just never know. So that's something I would throw out there. She needs to fight in July. If Montana want to come back as soon as possible, that would be a fight. Again, that's another fighter with experience. You could go ahead and say too, like, okay, Dakota's going to go ahead and get her unranked UFC fighters now. Like she fought Andrea Lee, Jennifer Maia, and Montana, maybe like one or two of these fighters. That would go ahead and say, that would go ahead and prepare her for the UFC and say, okay, she fought her unranked fighters from the UFC. Now she can fight a top 15, right? So yeah, Montana fight wouldn't be bad. But yeah, those really are the names like I can think of right now. I mean, Andrea Lee, Jennifer Maia, Anaba, Montana De La Rosa, those ones that would just kind of give her some experience. As far as the PFL, I mean, who else is it? Shanna Young. Shanna Young, I could see her beating Shanna Young pretty easy. So, I mean, it's just another stay active fight for her. Who else? D Begley. Did she ever fight D Begley? I can't remember. I think that one might have got canceled. But D Begley, just names like that. I mean, those are the only ones I can really think of as far as giving her some type of work. It's really slim pickings for Dakota. It really is slim pickings because even her herself, she said she was expecting. Right now, she's probably expecting them to give her somebody that can make a good fight, since she already beat Tyler Santos, right? And outside of that, the only other one I can think of, because just so y'all know too, I know some people suggested Chanel Dyer. Chanel Dyer is moving on to the UFC. She's moving to Dana White's Contender Series next. She's fighting for a contract this summer. Okay, so she's done. She put it on her IG that she's not gonna be in the PFL anymore. She already thanked them that she's done. All right, she's going to Dana White's Contender Series. So no Chanel Dyer. Even then, to be honest, I think she's a little bit behind. If you look a few levels behind Dakota. In a few years, she'll be able to catch up. But even then, that wouldn't really be a good matchup for her right now. I think the only good matchup for her right now, to me, that would make a really good fight. And I don't even know if they would make this one in July. They'd probably save this for like a super fight for Dakota, is the Paulina Vooki fight. Paulina Vooki, she's the winner of the European flyweight tournament. So she would make sense, right? She would make sense as far as maybe, like I said, down the line. But if they were actually going to give it to her in July, I would take it. She's an undefeated fighter, I believe 5-0. She's got power. She stopped Valentina Sketsisi in her last fight. She's got a heavy right hand. Joanna endorses her. Joanna endorses her as well. I know Joanna's kind of cool with Dakota, but I believe she's probably cooler with her home country fighter right here, in Paulina. So that'd probably be, somebody that I could see Joanna trying to train and sharpen up. So yeah, maybe that would be a good fight for her. I don't know July wise, but that's somebody I could see giving her a good fight for however long it lasts, But other than that, I mean, yeah, there's really nobody else for Dakota, in my opinion. Just other people to stay busy fights for July. But that's how I was looking at it. Just like, who can we get in there in the next 2 months that would be game? Montana just trained for her last fight against Luana Carolina. It got canceled because Luana Carolina missed weight, right? So if anything, Montana would probably be ready to go. They just cut her. She's still a little, ready to go as far as in shape. Was waiting for a fight. Maybe a PFL shows her the right amount of money. They could get her in there. But yeah, that's pretty much all I got on this one. I just kind of want to go through that again and just say, man, like, these are some of the people I think Dakota could fight, but nobody that's really going to test her level at this point. But just give her some experience. I mean, the biggest fight right now outside of the UFC would be the winner of the flyweight tournament. And even then, like, I don't know, like, I just keep leaning more towards like a Liz Carmouche already, just saying that's probably the last fight that she could fight outside of the UFC that makes sense. All right. But yeah, what do y'all think? I think, yeah, Jennifer Maia would probably be the best one if she's willing to move back down to 125, which I'm sure she would. Catch weights are another thing, maybe like 130, maybe even a 135 fight that she could fight somebody a little bit softer touch if she just wants to get back in there, as soon as possible. But what do y'all think, guys? Let me know in the comment section. Combo Breaker 99. Hit the like and subscribe. I'm out. Peace.